Brands Hatch plays host to the penultimate round of the Blondie's MX5 World Tour, brought to you by Blondie's Bar in Long Beach, California. Will Vincent alongside Yoni Backman and the name that's most unpronounceable in the entirety of iRacing. I'm going to try and get this right. Riku Alatalo. I got it! Yes, Riku, how you doing?
Yes, that's pretty close. Thank you, Will. I'm doing great.
So we're running on the Indy layout here today. This track played host to the Champ Car World Series London Grand Prix, a shorter version of the Brands Hatch racetrack, which means that these cars are going to be very closely separated on the racetrack. Qualifying currently underway. We've got ourselves about 4.5 minutes left to go until the checkered flag flies. And surprise, surprise, out front is Jan Koeman, but only a 0.2 of a second gap to Yanis in second position. And kind of, Koeman struggling a little bit here to have that blistering form that he normally has, only 0.2, and not as much as we're used to seeing.
Yeah, but Jere Janis also has had the privilege to run the Suomi-Jokkis, as we call it, which means Finnish street stock racing league, which is basically sort of a demo derby in the process. But yeah, he had the privilege of riding a 30-car field in here, and we had quite a bit of fun. And obviously, the street stocks are pretty close to match, pace-wise to the Mazdas, so I'm pretty sure that helped them quite a bit in getting comfortable with the Indy layout.
And this track is very, very short, incredibly fast as well. Turn number 1, your big braking zones into turn 2, and then you've got one towards the end of the lap as well. And not really much to learn here, but it's really going to be about momentum, and that's going to be the important thing. To talk about Jan Koeman very quickly, however, it looks as though he is not going to have to take a penalty here today. As we're having a look at the points coming up on your screen momentarily, that battle out front is, interesting. Koeman's still in the driver's seat as far as the championship is concerned, but there's still a lot to play for in this, the last couple of races of the season. So we're working here at Brands Hatch. The season finale is going to be at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca in 1 week time, and only 14 points separating Jan Koeman and Guilherme Ratto in that battle for the championship lead. They're in a completely different planet to Douglas Beard, who's in third, and Yanis running out your top 4. Guilherme Ratto, though, his qualifying hasn't been good at all. To be fair, I don't even see Guilherme Ratto anywhere. 8th, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but he doesn't necessarily need a good qualifying. I mean, lots of stuff can happen in the Indy layout, especially with the fact that we don't have a pace car this time around, unlike we had in the Finnish league, for example. And due to the nature of the track, I mean, less than a minute lap, even with the MX5. So we're looking at quite a bit of lapping done, and Brands Hatch ain't exactly the most comfortable place in the world to overtake people. I mean, especially if they're second or 2 laps slower, and you're approaching them in the midway point of the track after the infield straightaway. That can be a pain.
And I don't know what you're talking about, Yoni, but Guilherme's not in 8th. He's nowhere to be seen at all.
Well, in my telemetry, he's showing in 8th position.
I suggest you read the name again.
Yeah. We'll get back to you.
Ah, yeah. My bad. Too much scotch. My bad.
But yeah,
no,
no
man,
Guilherme.
I'm just gonna take myself another scotch here. I'm just so close.
And don't forget, if you'd like to drink responsibly, then Blondie's Bar in Long Beach, California, the place to do so. With just a little over 30 seconds until the checkered flag waves here. Drivers still doing qualifying. Claudia Klima is currently working on the racetrack with Esteban Balau just about half a second ahead. And they're working their way through turn number 2 at the moment. They come down the hill out of here, looking left into turn 3. You do just dabble on the brakes a little bit here, not too much. I'm going to bring the car down about 20 miles an hour. You want to be careful as you run out of turn number 3. However, then a short straightaway, the car will flick itself to the left-hand side, and you've got to do all the work to get it pointing in the right direction once again, as the checker flag is out to drive on the lap. This is their last one as Balau goes wide. Klima's going to look down to the inside, and Klima is currently sat in the 5th position. A good qualifying for the 24 car, as Istvan Balau falls in behind, and Balau's qualifying session is done. He'll probably start his round the ninth positions. Klima does not go faster by my watch. That last time out, he was about a tenth of a second slower. And Ricky, that really just was him trying to have to negotiate getting around his Van Baalen on that last corner.
Yeah, it seems like this one was a bit slower. He has a bit slower qualifying time, so Rato had to take. Klima had to take a different line. Then the optimal line will probably cost him maybe probably that tenth that they needed to improve his time.
And Jonathan Kier is slowing down as is Simon Ayres is working his way on a lap. We think that he won't be able to get back to the start-finish line in time. Chuck Johnson bringing the car down to pit road, as is Benjamin Lanout. So then to run through your starting field for this penultimate round, hopefully Blondie's MX-5 World Tour, row number 1. Jan Koemans and Yanis, row 2, Nico Brandt and Tom Rafji. The third row, Claudia Klima and Mihai Mason, with Benjamin Lanout and Giuseppe Aero in row number 4. It's from Ballard and Eric Garcia running up row number 5, with Turskis and Moriat in row 6, Johnson Hegheim in row 7, Gaiman Kier row number 8, Starlings and Denton in row number 9, Kieran Mount and David Schaefer running out your top 20. We have a total of 25 cars here for this race here today, and with a lap time of less than a minute, that means that we are going to see a lot of traffic happening in this race here today. 45 minutes, of course, drivers are going to have to make themselves one pit stop during the course of this race, and for Jan Koemans, the only thing he can do is really get himself out front. Have a look at the penalty ratings chart as well. Looks as though people are in a slightly better position than they've been in recently. We'll run through that one a little bit more as this race progresses, but it is our understanding that it's just one driver who's going to have to make a penalty, and that is Sam McAleer from Scotland, who will have to make himself a stop-and-go penalty at the conclusion of lap number 1. Getting set to go racing here then at Brands Hatch for 45 laps. And Ricky, very quickly before I go green, it's going to be a long, hard race here today, fast.
Well, the track is very short, so it's gonna feel like a long race because it's the same corners all over again really quickly. But looking at the qualifying times, they're all really close. In fact, 5th and 6th share the same qualifying time, so I'm really hoping for looking forward to a close race.
Indeed, that is Mihai Mason and Claudia Klima sharing the same qualifying time. Claudia Klima will take the lap because he set it earlier on in the session. Getting ready to go racing then with less than 5 seconds until the lights go red on the iRacing gantry. They'll go red and then they'll go green. We'll be racing for 45 laps here today. Lights red and they are green. We're away. And the car spinning immediately from the start. And that was, I believe, Claudia Klima getting himself horrible wheel spin on the start, feeding into the left-hand side. It looks as though everyone was able to get through that one. Okay, they're all back on the racetrack. Lute spins there, Rafty around there early on, and Rafty's going to have to pull all the way back to the rear of the field, pretty much been taken out there. Into turn number 1, they're all still fanning themselves down, 3 wide almost as they go into turn number 2 for the first time. And it seems as though things are starting to settle themselves down a little bit. Tursk is looking very racy. He's looking down to the inside now of Isman Banas to come down into turn number 3. And then he gets always spun around there. And that was down in turn 3. And I believe it was Moriat who was involved in that incident as well. But a crazy first lap.
Yeah, well, especially the turn 1, it's sort of a blind apex, and the ground just falls beneath your feet, so it's a very tricky corner. Especially in lap 1, where the cars are really bunched up, it has proven to be a very difficult corner.
And another car
without contact.
Another car on the grass. Last corner, car inside grass this time around. And there's a cloud of smoke in the last corner.
Chuck Johnson in the 87 car, who's down on the inside line. The 27 just came across him, spins on the inside, tries to put himself back out into the outside tyre barriers, and Chuck Johnson's race, so he is probably going to be done. He managed to get the car back down towards the pit road, but he's going to have to get himself some repairs to that car. Out front it is Jan Koemans with a gap of 1.3 seconds over Yanis in second, Nico Brandt in third, Benjamin Lanout in fourth, Giuseppe Aero running at your top 5, with Klima 6th, Ballard 7th, Hegheim 8th, Morian 9th, and Jonathan Kier running out your top 10. And it's a crazy first lap there, and it looks as though these drivers still very closely separated on the racetrack.
Yeah, Koeman seems to have built a bit of a gap. The top 3 seem to all have separated a little bit, but mid-back there's a lot of close battles, as we see Kieran Mant going side by side with Joshua Gaiman over the finish line.
trying to make it 3 wide to come down into turn number 1. That is not going to work very well. Man coming across the racetrack just a little bit. They are going to be 3 wide going into the corner, and it looks as though Moriarty is going to sweep past both of them there, getting a very wide on the exit turn number 1. Both of those drivers are going to come past him once again, and it looks like Moriarty is going to fall back into line. He's going to be on the outside line coming down into this corner. He'll have the inside line for turn number 3 if he can keep it working. On that outside line, he falls back in behind those 2 drivers. In fact, slows down as well to let Kevin Starlings go past in the 40 car. And I believe also that Turskis was able to get past as well. Turskis now trying to make the move on the 40 machine of Starlings to work their way down into turn number 4. That left-hand flick, you take that one pretty much flat out, and then you slow the car down for the right-hander just on the apex there. And out front is still fine, but behind him it's craziness. To give you an update as well, go on.
Yeah, there's lots of compromises around this racetrack with this car. I mean, like we've seen Arcadius right there, especially that last SS before the title right-hander, bringing us back to the start-finish straight. That corner is you can take pretty much flat out, but then it causes you to compromise your entry into the last corner. Whereas if you just lift it slightly, approaching that kink, then you get a better entry into the last corner. So there's depending on your track position, lots and lots of compromises to be done every lap here.
Yeah, indeed, and I have to say Jan Koeman's pulling out that gap just a little bit. Nico Brandt sat in the 3rd position, still hanging with these 2 leaders. In fact, Koeman's had a bit of a scruffy lap there as he came out of turn number 1. Ran very wide. We've got a number of cars down pit road. We've got Simon Ayres, Chuck Johnson, Eric Garcia, all sat on pit road, as I believe it's still Tom Rafferty. In fact, I take that back. I believe Rafferty is out now of the race. Jan Koeman's still leading the way. However, the battle for the 8th and 9th position, this is Jonathan Keir and Kieran Mann. That is still going on the racetrack. Joshua Gaiman isn't far behind, and Arcadius Turskis also closing in on these 3 cars as well, as we're currently working our way on lap number 5 of 45. And now this field's got itself a bit spread out. That's going to make things a little bit easy for these drivers, but Koemans has already got himself a 16-second gap over Starlings in the 20th spot. Sorry, 27 seconds over Mihai Mason. Sorry, they're going 3 wide down into turn number 2. Mason was on the outside line. You have Kevin Lindberg on the inside. You got Lao Zhao there as well, and Andre Hagen running wide out of turn 2. And I was about to say things are settling down a little bit, but really, the 7 car Christopher Thompson. 2
cars on the grass. 16, 15 places, both on the grass.
What is going on with some of these drivers? That is Hagen and Lao Zhao. I mean, I know you run wide out of turn number 3, but they were wide and a little bit further. Lao Zhao has gone wide once again.
Wide.
Oh no, and he's going to lose the position there. And it's very easy to one ride at that corner. Pretty much the penultimate corner of the racetrack. If you include this, the sweeping left-hand bend, which brings you onto the start-finish line over the crest, is now the 71 car of Kevin Lindberg's looking down to the inside of Lao Zhao. This is the battle for essentially now 17th and 18th position on the racetrack. Zhao has a good inside run there, but now the 71 car is going to get the momentum. If he can just hold on for the time being, no, he can't. I was about to say he'd be able to have a look down into the inside coming into turn number 2, but Zhao was able to get away with that one, pretty much scot-free.
And meanwhile, Kieran Mann and Joshua Gaiman both got past Jonathan Keir. Kieran now up to P8, Joshua Gaiman up to P9, and Jonathan Keir lost 2 places back down to B10.
And also losing another one there to, I believe that was Turskis as they came out of the final corner, with Jonathan Keir getting very sideways, trying to keep it on the racetrack. That 07 car really having handling issues early on in this race, as we've now put 6 laps in the books. Koeman's out front, however, that gap is now up to 2.2 seconds on the racetrack. Yeah, Yanis in second, looking as though he can hold on, but not really too closely, as ahead of them, still battling for position, you have Gaiman now on the inside line, and he looks as though he is going to pass Kieran Mann. Nope, I'll take it back, because Mann's going to work back on the inside to come down into turn number 3, and Mann is going to try and keep the position, but the 77 car there running wide, and he will actually be able to use that extra momentum to his advantage and retake the 7th position, 8th position.
Yeah, you can run a bit wide in the exit, on the exit of that corner, so you can carry a lot more momentum. So I think the outside line is much better in that case, and he was able to maintain the position.
And Mann is looking like he's wanting to try and get that position back very early on. He's looking down to the inside already. Dummy dime. Now he's actually going to try and look to the outsides to come down into turn number 1. Almost thinking about trying to pinch Gaiman down to the inside line. And oh, a little bit of a wiggle there from Gaiman. That's going to put it very wide. And he's going to look down to the inside now is Mant, and Mant will try and complete the pass. Of course, he'll have the outside line into turn number 3, but in fact, Mant looking as though he does complete the pass there on Gaiman at the completion of turn number 2. And it's a good battle there going on for 9th, 10th, 11th positions.
Battle going on. I was just about to say it was going to the main straightaway. The Kieran was obviously looking the outside line to block Gaiman from ever getting into the proper braking zone, which forced basically Gaiman to go slightly wide, and Kieran just used that to perfection and got a maximum launch out of the turn 1 into the turn 2 braking and got the job done.
And now Arcadius is looking down to the outside as they come on the banking onto the final corner. And that's the only issue with that. You can't really run the outside line because the inside is kind of banked a lot less steeply. You really have to get a bit of drive going up the hill to get to make it work. And Arcadius losing out a little bit, but as again cars go wide, this is going to allow Turkis to look down to the inside of the 77 car. So 2 mistakes in a row there for Gaiman. He's losing another position. This time now to Turskix in the 08 car as he's now up into the 9th position and closing down on Kieran Mant.
Yeah, looking at how the first 9 laps of the 45 laps have gone, it seems like usually after the race there's lots and lots of rubber on the tarmac. Now it seems like there's more skid marks on the sand traps, but too much cutting the grass and the sand traps going on all over the place. I mean, every time I look, basically there's a puff of sand coming up. So
yeah, be careful, guys. You're ruining our green and pleasant land. Of course, this track is also the place where Alexandro Zanardi competed in the 2012 Paralympic Games, taking a gold medal there. So a lot of eyes have been focused on this racetrack over the past year as Turkis running that curb it seems to be that you can't clip that curb in turn number 1, otherwise it just beats you to the outside as you come down in that run into turn 2. And it just seems to be if you clip that curb, you're going to push yourself wide into that kind of gravelly area.
Yeah, or then you have to compromise your exit and just lift the throttle and just try to block the inside line. And obviously, due to the thanks to the fact that these guys do not have to worry about their safety rating here so much, they tend to choose the line of just going slightly to the sand trap and taking the 1x one incident point out of the exit, but still maintaining the speed. So they in the hopes of maintaining the position, but it's not paying off every time.
What's the safety rating? No idea.
It's something that the Mayans made up in the 16th century, I think.
So that will also come to the end later on this month. Turskis getting a very good run out of turn 1 this time, right? Looking like he's going to try and look down to the inside of Kieran Mant. This is about for the 8th position. And Turskis is going to get a good run on the inside of the corner. He'll be on the outside as they come out into turn number 3. You see him trying to do the cut under there. And he's also got pressure behind now from Jonathan Gaiman. So working away down into turn number 3. Checking in on your race leader, however, Jan Koemans. The gap is now up to 4 seconds between himself and, Yanis. Koeman's already actually starting to put some laps on people. Kevin Lundberg has gone 1 lap down.
Yeah, with extremely short lap times here, it's not surprising that they're already lapping the people. I mean, we're already 12 laps into the race, and looking at the qualifying times, there was a long spread from first position to the last qualifying position of about 5 seconds. So there's going to be a lot of lap traffic this race, I guess.
And I have to ask you guys, Kevin Lundberg's actually just pulling off to the left-hand side of the racetrack. This is going to allow Yannick to get past him. I have to say, is there any particular part of this track where you'd recommend going 3 wide?
3 wide is not really a good strategy here, especially into turn 1, because there's a lot of lack of grip offline because of the downhill. So if I don't suggest going 3 wide here really anywhere.
Yeah, because there's no turn 11 here anyway.
Indeed, just 6 corners on this racetrack. As Kevin Lundberg say, he's currently scored 1 lap down, the first of the drivers who is being put a lap down. Gap is actually now up to 5.1 seconds between Koemans and Yanis, but Nico Bryant is caught up to the rear of the 37 car of Yanis as they're working away down to turn number 3 again. And Nico seems to like this car, he likes this track. He competed in an ISOWC event here in the IndyCars earlier on this year. And Bryant seems to have got to grips with this track, a good showing by the 42 car at the moment.
Yeah, I was just about to say a few laps ago that now they had the back markers, so Nico Brandt has had a quite a significantly slower lap time, but the lap before that he was actually 10th faster than Koemans was last time around. Let's have a look at the updated time. My bet is that Nico is suffering now a little bit from Jere Jannis' driving, but 54 flat against 53.9, so Nico is actually matching the pace of Koemans here, but I think Jere is not that much of a slowing factor here, but and the dirty air is not a factor definitely with the MX-5s at all, in fact, but he is suffering a little bit from Jere. Can't really focus on maximizing lap times because you constantly have to watch out for any possible small mistakes that the guy in front of you is making. So my guess is that if he can get past Jere Jannis at some point, he will increase the lap time by about a 10th or 2.
Checking on the back for the 4th and 5th positions as well. It's just Benjamin Lalute and Giuseppe Aero battling on the racetrack. That is Giuseppe Aero, not Guilherme Ratto. We promise you, Yoni. As Aero getting very close to the rear of Lanute's cars and working their way into the final corner once again. And Aero there, he was able to gain himself about 3 times per second that past lap. We'll see what happens as they come past the start-finish line once again. And Giuseppe Aero is actually about a 10 slower that last time. They've got slower traffic ahead of him. And we believe there's been an incident between Andre Hegheim and Mihai Mason. We'll check in and see what happened to those two drivers. And it was down into turn number 1. You see Hegheim was on the outside line, and then the 83 car just clipped that curb way too early and just slung across the racetrack, and nothing there that the 27 car Hegheim could do.
It looks more like he just lost on the brake and the car shot to the right, and while Mihai was trying to correct it, the car just shot back to the left, and unfortunately Andre just happened to be on the way and he got hit, and the race over for him.
Replay on your screen now, and Andre actually, despite the fact he flipped up in the air, thought he could try and see if he could drive that car back towards pit road. Ended up thinking better of it, but a freak incident there for the 27 machine of Andre Hegheim, which has put him out of the race, as it has done for Mihai Mason. He's back on pit road trying to get repaired, but it's currently scored as 1 lap down.
In the meanwhile, we have Jere Jannis and Nico Brandt coming up to 2 cars who are going to be a lap down. That's Christopher Thompson and Lowell Jewell. I'm sorry for that mispronunciation, probably. But it'd be interesting to see how Jere is able to manage the traffic, and if Nico can make a move using the traffic.
Can you imagine that? Rookie Rider Stormtrooper actually mispronouncing someone's name. But having a look at that battle, Nico Brandt is about the same as he's been to Jannis his previous couple of laps, as Jannis actually really hugging that curve on the inside to come down into turn number 1 once again. We're approaching half race distance already in this race, and looking as though that Nico Brandt's got to start getting a move on, because he's close, but these lap times are starting to suffer because of it. He's not being able to get too close enough to make the pass, and Jannis is doing 42.4s, and Jan Koemans is a full 4 times a lap faster ahead of these two drivers right now.
Yeah, it's looked to me like Jere Jannis does have the pace, I mean, but the consistency of Jere Jannis is just far from consistency of Brandt and Koemans, because Jere Jannis and Koemans are the only ones below 54 seconds, and Jere Jannis not only below 54 seconds, but he almost matched the fastest lap of Jan Koemans in the race, but still he, just because of the inconsistency, he tends to do one fast lap time and the second one is significantly slower.
Jan Koemans off, sorry. The 55 car going very wide in turn number 1. I don't think he really lost too much there, but the 55 machine's still pushing it, and it's at times like this we've seen Koemans under pressure making some mistakes this year.
Yeah, but due to the short nature of the track, you really have to push it all the way from start to finish, because if you get, even though you would lead it by 10 seconds and you end up behind 3 backmarkers who are desperately fighting for a position of their own, that can easily cost you 4 or 5 seconds in a short amount of time. So, and not to mention, if you do go for a move and somebody else is just focusing on something totally different, and you ended up going onto the grass, even though the low top speeds with the Mazdas, you can still end up to the barricades. They're not that far away from the edge of the track.
We're checking back in that about 4th position. This is Benjamin Lalute and Giuseppe Aero, still as they were on the racetrack, but Claudia Klima has caught up to the rear of this battle as well. And Klima, we saw how good the 24 car was at the start of this race, qualified in 5th, fell back a little bit, but now running in that 6th position. and looking as though a little bit faster than the two drivers ahead of him, because that'd be Aero and Benjamin Lanu's back 2 tenths of a lap faster at the moment, but now in that dirty air, if we can call it that, of those two cars ahead of him, and Klimer looking as though it's hit a brick wall there, that 24 car, not being able to close much more.
I wonder if these guys are going to get some kind of a penalty because of the excessive off-tracks they get into turn 1. Even though like nothing dramatic in that, it doesn't necessarily mean that something bad would happen out of it, but it's a potential risk every time you go wide into turn 1, because once, especially if you dedicate yourself to full throttle through the turn 1 over the sand trap, you don't have to steer much wrong to get the car sideways, and that's a bad thing for anyone who is not taking off tracks, because you're right in the racing line then.
So someone coming out of pit road, that is Joshua Gaiman making first pit stop of the day here today. Gaiman was classified in the 10th position, now falling down into 16th position. Scored 1 lap down in that 77 car and a lot of traffic ahead of him. This is Istvan Balau, Claudia Klimer, Giuseppe Aero, and Benjamin Lanu. That 4-car battle now for 4th through 7th positions on the racetrack, and Aero is close as he has been all race long, trying to work on Lanu to say come out of turn number 3 once again. And it's looking as though that these cars, now they're kind of their size worn out a little bit, not as easy to pass as it was early on in this race.
Yeah, it looks like everyone just found their rhythm.
Yeah, of course, with less grip, it's much harder to keep the inside or outside line, so passing will be a bit more difficult. But it's the same for the car in front, so it shouldn't really factor that much. But it looks like Benjamin Lanuette is a bit slower than Giuseppe Aero, so last lap he was 2 tenths slower, so we'll probably see a good battle coming brewing up here.
Yeah, they tried to look down to the inside line, did Giuseppe Aero. Wasn't able to do anything.
Right in spin in turn 2, hairpin, I think, can't see
Claudia
who it was,
Klimer.
somebody got pushed way wide.
And that was, yeah, down into turn number 2, and it just looks like he got T-boned, actually, by Istvan Balau in the 22 car. Having a look to see if there's any damage to any of those drivers, and it looks as though they both actually able to get away okay. But following the ideals of the BTCC, both those drivers bumping and banging it around the racetrack. That was Istvan Balau and Claudia Klimer, who'd actually caught up to this battle for 5th and 4th positions on the racetrack, but they're going to really have fallen back a couple of seconds now. And Balau is still in the 7th position, Klimer still in 6th, and behind them, Turskis coming into play a little bit as well, closing that gap ever so slightly. As we've got Andre Hergheim still sat on pit road. We're trying to get some race repairs at the moment, but Jan Koemans, the gap is now up to 8.9 seconds on the racetrack as he's approaching the halfway point of this race. Koemans, once again, just absolutely dominant.
Yeah, nothing much to really say. He seems like he's able to nail really fast laps every lap, and Jere and Nico just don't have an answer to his pace, and seems like he's just gonna run away with it once again.
Going down into turn number 1 once again, we've got Falcon very wide ahead of him. That is, by my watch, the number 44 car. In fact, no, it's the 18 machine that Simon Ayres is now going to go 3 laps down to Jan Koemans. 3 laps in the space of 23 laps. A very, very tough day for Simon Ayres in the 18 car. And this is that point that you were talking about, Yoni, where Koemans has got himself a good number of cars that he needs to try and overtake. So we're looking on board with Istvan Balau.
Oh, yeah. Right, so speaking, that must have been a lap car, but Balau just did an extremely brave maneuver there into turn 1, late braking into turn 1 there. But yeah, the lapping cars is always the case that in here. It doesn't matter if it's a MX-5 Indy car or whatever. I mean, even the track is narrow and MX-5 is small, but they have corners after corners in here, and even though you can overtake with pretty much every car around this racetrack because of the awesome nature of it and the because of the short layout, it's still every time you go off from your optimal racing line, it's risky, and not every lapped car is as cooperative as you always would expect them to be. So that's always a factor.
And Koeman's been able to get past all of those lap traffic cars. He's now got himself a little bit of clean air In fact, he's been able to get past Michael Denton and David Chaffler at last lap. It's about 7 seconds up the road to Jonathan Kier in the 11th position. We still have ourselves 11 cars on the lead lap as Jan Koeman is now completing lap number 24 of 45 here. And a couple of drivers coming down onto pit road once again. And this time it is Stefan Moriat pitting.
Arcadius.
And Arcadius on pit road as well.
No, my bad. Not coming in.
So yeah, it's just Claudia Klimmer in the but that wasn't clear. It was Stefan Moriat, sorry. Moriat in the 57 car, looking as though just taking 4 tyres, indeed taking 4 tyres, and coming back out onto the racetrack anytime soon. Mihai Mason finally bringing that car back out onto the racetrack. Moriat is away with 4 fresh tyres and topping up with race gas as well.
Yeah, Joshua Gaiman is approaching start-finish line right now. Should take P14 away from Morian. Yep, he does. So Gaiman takes another position back, and Morian drops down to 16 still coming out of the pits. Now he gets on the throttle slowly out of the pits.
I think he was just letting all those cars go by, but it cost him a ton of time.
Yeah, 1 lap down to 16th position for Stefan Morian at this point.
And that's the thing, you know, it's a very tight pit exit here. You feed Richley back into the racing line. Yeah. And we'll try and go on board with Yanis as he comes back out onto the racetrack. You see just how tight this pit exit is. You feed richly right into the racing line of turn number 1. You've also got yourself Andre Hegheim still on pit road. Kieran Mann making a pit stop in the 4 car. He is out and away. But for Yanis, it's a critical stop for him now if he's going to try and keep that position to Nico Brandt. This is the battle for the 2nd position.
Yeah, it's going to be crucial if Jere just is able to just nail good lap times as well. Now with unlike in the Formula 1 where the heavy fuel load causes lap times to drop significantly in the first few laps out of the pits, with the MX-5 it's totally different because the fuel load is not a factor that much, and the fresh tires will give you significantly faster lap times. So Jere really has to exploit this now and be able to nail the few flying laps to maintain his position over Nico Brandt.
And we'll keep an eye out on Nico Brandt and Jan Koeman. They have both, by the look of it, stayed out on the racetrack for the time being. The gap between Nico Brandt and Jan Koeman is currently 12.6 seconds on the racetrack. Giuseppe Aero currently scored in the 3rd position with Ben Lanute in the 4th spot. And both Aero and Lanute have continued their battles, but it looks like Lanute's fallen off the pace a little bit from behind the rear of the 46 car, and a little bit of damage by the look of it to the right rear of that 01 car.
I have to say, Yanis is strategic-wise, that pit stop timing was brilliant, because as soon as Yanis pulled into the pits, Nico Brandt had the back marker into turn 1 and cost him dearly time. His last lap was 55.1, so over a second lost by Nico Brandt thanks to that lap car there, and that really can cost him
Brandt
bad.
coming in.
Yeah, Brandt into
Brandt
pit
coming
road.
into pit lane.
Very slow pit road here at Brandt's Hatch. Cars doing 45 miles an hour. Now we'll look for their pit box on the right hand side. And Brandt now 3, 2, 1 into his pit box. And it looks like he was just perfectly in there, almost overshot, but able to get the job done nicely for him. And that 42 car is not going to take any tyres by the look of it. So he'll be back out and away on the racetrack before we know it. And nice run out as well. Yeah.
Easily taken the position for Jere Yanis. Beautifully timed there. Nico Brandt lost a ton of time.
It looks like his outlap was, in-lap was over 2 seconds slower. I don't know if it was lap traffic or something, but it looks like he also made a mistake on the last corner coming into pits.
Yeah,
so
yeah, huge slide.
That seems to have cost him dearly. And now there's 2 cars between him and Jere, so even more time is going to be lost there. Unlucky for Nico.
Yeah, it looks like that is
I have to say, not only possibly lost P2 battle, but it also can cost him the 3rd position if he's not cautious, because I think before the pits the 4th position guy was not that far behind. I mean, if the traffic keeps slowing him down badly, it can all go wrong for him.
As Turstees comes into pit road, this gives a little bit of reprieve there to Nico Brandt. It is still Jan Koeman race leader, still Giuseppe Aero in 2nd, Benjamin Lanute in 3rd. But the gap between Yanis and Nico Brandt is currently 3 seconds on the racetrack. We saw how fast Brandt was earlier. He's got to do that work all over again with, 17 laps to try and get the job done? It's going to be tough for him.
We're going to spin in turn 4, I think it is. Can't see who it is exactly. Got to be a
Lao
left car.
Lao Jiao and his
Yep.
car going so wide around him. Oh my god, that was Isman Balal there. He had to slow back down to avoid slamming into the side of another car. But Balal, he came down the hill, turn number 2. You can't see, you could probably see a car in his peripheral vision. Came down into turn number 3. And then he saw the car, then he saw the cars trying to get back onto the racetrack, and he went wide. Cars then started turning right at him. He had to go all the way. He was doing some off-roading there to get back onto the racetrack.
Yeah, and almost losing position to Claudio Klima, who is now on the outside in the turn 1, making the crossover move, and it's going to be on the inside on turn 2. This is great racing here. We'll see if he's able to take the position on the inside. Oh, and then,
Oh no!
well,
That's 24 car just been turned around there. Claudia Klima getting turned by, actually I wouldn't say he got turned actually, he just came across. This is Van Balau. Having a look at it again, and he just turned into him and then got turned along the front of this car. And Claudia Klima is looking as though could be out of the race because that's going to be some big damage to that car. Brought it back out onto the racetrack. Currently very down the field now. I'm to work that inside line to turn 2 and it's not turning on him at all.
I will stop showing replays altogether. Every time I'm gonna replay, something happens.
yeah, I think Klima coming into turn 2, he must have accidentally been braking a bit and moving towards the left while doing so, because he moved in to Istvan a little bit. That was enough for Istvan to hit his left rear and send him into a spin. Definitely Klima to blame here, in my opinion.
Yeah, it looks to me like he misestimated the distance.
Crewman's in.
That would be my personal guess, that he just underestimated the distance of between the two cars, and he just at the time he realized that there was not enough room under brakes. Then it was too late.
Meanwhile, Jan Koemans, our race leader, coming out of the pits now. It seems like he took all 4 tires, which will be interesting to see how much time he lost, but he still rejoins in the lead.
As Aero comes onto pit road as well, so the 46 car does not lead a lap here today. We've got 31 laps. Going to be score complete at the line. Aero going to take himself any tyres? No, he is not. So the 46 car is going to try and risk doing the entire race on one set of tyres. And Benjamin Newt, I don't think he's pitted, has he?
No, he hasn't. Benjamin Lanut, Istvan Ballo, Jonathan Kier, Michael Denton are the top 10, the only guys without pit stop.
So yeah, Yanis will probably fall back into the second position. Nico Brandt looking as though fall back into third. Because yeah, Balao and Yanis and Kier will have to pit still on the racetrack. I have to say, Yanis and Balao very close at the moment. They're battling for currently third and fourth position on the racetrack, even though they still had to make themselves a pit stop. Balao still looking, I don't know how that car is still running, to be fair. He's been involved in, 3 incidents in this race here today? But the 22 car is still circulating.
Yeah, this car is pretty forgiving. Sorry.
Yeah, first of all, the car can take a lot of damage, but second of all, he's been quite lucky with the hits. They haven't been too big, or they haven't more to his favor. They haven't sent him flying to the wall, so he's been fairly fortunate in this race.
Riku, are you certain that Jan Koemans took 4 tires, because his pit stop was only 1 second slower than Nico Brands, who did not take any tires?
I'm pretty sure I saw his car go both left and right. No, he only took left side tires. I'm sorry about that. It only took left side tires, which is a good move in my opinion, since most of the corners here are to the right.
So Ricciardo, Bobby Nascar deciding to change his mind there. Just 2 tyres there for the 55 car of Jan Koemans. Koemans is got an 8.6 second gap over Benjamin Lanut at the moment. As I believe actually Lanut might have come onto pit road that last time by. No, he stays out, but a very slow lap there for the 01 car. Yeah, Yanis in third is 15 seconds, however, behind Koemans, and he'll probably take away that second position once Lanut makes that trip down into pit road.
Yeah, and Koemans is really flying now, 7/10 a lap, of escaping Jere Janis, who has done his pit stop, and really looking at the 7th and 8th battle with Michael Denton and David Schaefer, both coming into the pits at the same time actually, so this is going to be a pit battle here, but these guys are going to drop quite significantly. They're not going to stay in the top 10 after the pit stop, so my guess would be somewhere near 15th. Oh, and Michael Denton overshoots his box. We can see it on the screen in a roll bar.
Yeah, Benson Lanús onto pit road as well. The 0-1 car going to give second position back to Yanis with about 11 laps left to go in this race. Lanús coming down onto pit road, and ahead of him a car cocking itself like it's taking a whiz. That is a 24 car, I believe. The 24 car actually not made a pit stop already. Claudia Klima, sorry, is on pit road. I thought it made a pit stop early on in this race. However, a very long stop there for the 24 car. Eventually it's going to get going again. In fact, no, it must be a penalty there for Klimmer. Still sat on pit road.
He was hit by Ballo and he has damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, so taking a lot of repairs is that 24 car. And to be fair, with this late in the race, I would have just taken a little bit of it and gone straight back out. Now, he's going to lose himself a lot more time. He only scored 4 laps down, all the way down in the 18th position on the racetrack.
It looks like Istvan just came out of the pits and he has had a very good strategy since he is now up in the 4th place, passing Benjamin on his outlap. His long stint seemed to have worked his way as he was able to put a lot of fast laps in without traffic.
So despite 3 incidents, Balau's car is still circulating on the racetrack and now up into the 4th position. And that car must just have titanium for its front body or something, because he's been involved in a couple of wars in this race here today. But a good drive by the 22 car, even though he is 40 seconds behind the race leader. And just to update you as well, it's just 6 cars now scored on the lead lap, with Arkadiusz Turskis, the last car, circulating on the lead lap.
Yeah, and I was looking at Michael Dent and David Schaefer battle on the pits, while even though Michael Dent overshot his box, he did not take any tires, and David Schaefer took tires, so that cost Schaefer 3 positions on racetrack. So now Dent back out, and thanks to the fast pit stop, he's up into P10. So my guess was wrong; he'd not go to P15. Denton is P10 and David Schaefer P13. As Benjamin Lanús gets spun around.
Oh no!
T3.
And that 0-1 car is going to lose, and that was, I believe that was Turskis there, as he came down. He was looking down to the inside, and in fact, no, sorry, the 0-1 car was already sideways, and it just got clobbered by Turskis there. And for Lanús, falling back now behind Giuseppe Aero, and a ton of damage to that 0-1 car, yeah.
Big damage there. His car seems to oversteer a lot when turning right, so he's going to come down the pit road for repairs.
Oh no. But he is going to be scored way down now. Probably about 17th position. That's disappointing there for the new, because he had himself a good race up until that point.
Yeah, just looking at the replay, Arkadiusz, the point of the car where what Arkadiusz hit the Benjamin car with, that's straight right where the right front tire is. So we'll be interested to see if Arkadiusz's car is so heavily damaged that he's unable to keep up the good pace that he has so far.
Yeah, and we'll keep an eye out on his lap times, Arkadiusz in the 08 car. Looking as though he's not badly handling though. He's still circulating on the racetrack. Yes, it's probably a little bit slower, but we'll get a better picture as we go past the start-finish line once again. And Arkadiusz does a 55.0. He must have had something going on that lap as well, but he is actually a lot slower, and he's really having to slow that car down into turn number 1.
Yeah, my guess is that the damage is the camber of the right front tire, so the car refuses to turn in doesn't turn in that well to the right-handers, which is pretty bad thing on a track which majority of the corners is to the right.
It does not seem that it's slowing him down too much. I mean, before the incident, his lap times were in the ballpark of 54.8, 54.6, and he just did a 54.0, so 55.0, so only a few tenths lost in race pace lost there, seems like.
Stefan Murray looking for P8, again, guys, looking for Singapore slings and with the umbrellas on the beach at the exit of turn 1, but Morian manages to take the P8 away from Denton and Kier there. Kier loses again 2 positions in 1 corner.
Wow, and Morian is on the charge late on in this race. Yeah, it's good drive though by the 57 machine. But Dent really doesn't seem to like his car working with aggressive cars behind him. Jonathan Kier now down into what I believe will be the 10th position. Jonathan Kier in the 07 car, also under a little bit of pressure by, is that the 57? No, the 87 that must be. Chuck Johnson. Chuck Johnson is scored 8 laps down, but still circulating on the racetrack and looking very close to the rear. Sorry, he goes wide there. Does Keir in the 07 car, that allows Johnson to go past, and immediately Gaiman's now going to look down to the inside coming into turn number 2, as Keir really must have overworked his tyres.
Yeah, not only tires, he must have some sort of damage because that car is snappy. I mean, he came into the turn 1 braking zone and just got the rear end just flipped away from him.
Wow, and Jonathan Keir falling back another position now, out of the top 10. Out front, however, it is Jan Koemans with an 18-second gap over Yanis. And Koemans working his way on lap number 41. So just 4.5 laps left to go for the 55 car. And this really, when we put it into the overall championship picture, is the result he would have wanted today.
Yeah, exactly, and it's looking good for Jere Janis as well. He's getting a strong 2nd position and he's looking for 2nd position in the championship as well. I mean, the 2nd place is 2nd place medal is not that. I mean, not that far away. If Jere Janis can get I think this would be Jere's 2nd position in the season.
I haven't got the results to hand to check, but yeah, it's one of the better results we've seen for Janis.
Didn't Jere finish 2nd last race?
2 cars wide. 2 cars wide in turn 3. Battle for 7th position. Kieran and Stefan Morien, and Kieran get the 7th position away from it. They both went very, very wide all the way to the uphill grass, and Kieran manages to take the 7th position. I'm not sure if they're gonna get any penalties. Seriously, these guys are going so wide off tracks that, that at some stage that's gonna be dangerous.
Marianne back
and
past.
again too wide.
Yeah, Marianne back past. And I have to say, they literally are just, I don't know, doing off-roading for half the laps. They might as well make it into a supercross racetrack at times here today. Marianne taking away that 7th place once again as they came past the start-finish line. They're working on lap number 41. They are 1 lap down from your race leader. Still 5 cars on the lead lap. Turskis, in fact, now just being passed by Jan Koemans. He's now working up into lap number 43. Lap traffic on both sides of him. And he'll get past Lauer Zhao as well. And Zhao really off the pace now in the later stages of this race. And Turskis actually able to get a run on the rear of Jan Koemans' cars to come down into turn number 2. Turskis isn't going to try and get back past, is he?
Not sure, but I'm currently following the pile for 7th position, 7th, 8th, and now 9th. Michael Denton also caught up to the pack. Kieran and Stefan both did almost a 57 lap last time around, and whereas Michael Denton did a 55.8. So for some reason these guys are going slowly, but Denton is looking very racy as Morian is now looking the outside line again. It would have another beach party here.
And, yeah, Moriarty's going to get a good run coming down into turn number 2. Going to have to go the long way around, however, of the 4-car Kieran Man as they come down into turn 2. If you can keep the line, you'll be able to work over. You're not going to be close enough, though, unless he is going to go off track again into turn number 3. He's going to have that outside line. How wide he's going to place the car? Not going to do it this time by. But you just see how wide they run in turn number 3 there. There is that kind of like artificial tarmacy thing, but you don't want to take too much of it, otherwise you do actually end up kind of like on 30 degrees of banking, except it's grass. As Moriarty had a good run as the 4-car Kieran Man getting very wide, but behind them, Michael Denton is closing up as well. These drivers have got about 2 laps to sort it out because Jan Koeman's working his way on lap number 44, and in about 20 seconds time the white flag will be in hand.
Yeah, what are we going to call, by the way, if the turn 1 is a beach party and these guys keep cutting the grass in the turn 3, what do we call the cutting the grass? A picnic?
Well, we are in England.
Okay.
And in England we do like having picnics at the side of the road, so there we are, white flag in hand for Jan Koemans. 1 more lap left to go. He's coming now down into beach party turn number 1. We'll flick it down the hill. And he'll use that curve and he'll throw up some sand into the eyes of a young child as he comes down into turn number 2 as well. Got a lap traffic ahead and that won't play too much of an issue. However, he has a 20-second lead over Janis in 2nd. A further 5 seconds to Nico Brand in the 3rd position. He's now coming into the picnic corner turn number 3. Just a couple of corners left now to go for Jan Koemans. He'll work his way up the hill for the final time. Turn number 4, left-hand side flick. Now flicking it to the right for turn number 5. You can see he gets on the brakes very late. You have to get braking for turn number 6, and he's got that car ahead of him. Fine, we'll just pull out the way. You might even get your race over with a lap early. But Jan Koemans is going to come up the hill for the final time, and he was going to win the penultimate round of the Blondie's MX-5 World Tour and increase his championship lead.
Meanwhile,
Yeah,
we'll still have a
following
great battle for 7th place. Yes.
Yeah.
Morian looking the inside in turn 1, not able to make the pass, but now
Nope.
now he's getting a good run into the final corners of the lap, and it is.
Oh!
Inside line in the kick.
Oh!
You gotta be kidding me.
And he did it, but no, the 4 car. You see, they just touched it a bit.
Crossover.
Bump
No.
him.
Failed it again.
Not going to bump.
No, he did it.
Oh, and Moriana not going to be able to do it. They're on the 4 car, Kieran Mann, but you see that? You see the 44 car was looking to the outside as they came past the start-finish line. And those two had a great battle, as I think people are now going to do a pizza party celebration.
Yeah, so it looks as though. I wouldn't drink that drink. It's full of sand.
Shall we run through the final results? Why not? Pretty much everyone's come past the start-finish line now. It's from the last driver who was on the lead lap has come past. So it is Jan Koemans who takes his victory here in 41 minutes. Over Janis in second, Nico Brandt in third, Isvan Balo in fourth, Arkadiusz Turskis in the fifth position, Giuseppe Aero in sixth, Kieran Mant seventh, Stefan Moriat in eighth, Matt Denton in 9th, Joshua Gaiman rounding out your top 10. Jonathan Keir in 11th position, David Schaefer in 12th, Christopher Thompson in 13th, Lau Zhao in the 14th position, Benjamin Lanute in 15th, Simon Air 16th, Kevin Limberg in 17th, Chuck Johnson 18th, Mayhem Mason 19th, Claudia Klimmer rounding out your top 20. Rest results coming up on your screen momentarily. And drive the race, Riku, go.
I don't want to go for journey Jan Koemans for his perfect race once again. Really, he's just showing great pace again. But I would say, this hard decision here. Maybe Jere Janis for keeping Nico at bay after, and especially after pit stops, showing really fast pace and being able to increase the gap between him and Nico and not giving Nico any chance of getting past.
Jenny?
I don't know. Probably one of the guys in the top, below the top 5. I'll probably go for Kieran. I think he did a pretty good job of gathering position. I have to check that out. Yeah, he started in 19th, finished up in 7th. So my drive of the race would be Kieran.
I would say, I was going to say Turskis, but all of a sudden I'm going to kind of agree with you. He had a great drive in that 4 car, managing to hold off pressure on the last lap as well. And I have to say the 4 car did a rather nice job. Meanwhile, I'd like to welcome in our race winner, Jan Koemans. Kind of always a little bit easy for you today.
Well, I was looking for a nice and boring race for a change. It's been a long time since I had one, so I guess one boring race is fine.
And qualifying and pole. However, it's only a couple of tenths per second gap between yourself and Janis. Were you worried that he would try and pass you these first couple of laps?
It's a difficult track to overtake. It's very narrow. It's a very short track as well, so it's hard to make a big difference. But I thought if I get a good start, then probably once the tires start going off a little, then probably I would be able to pull away. And in the end, it worked out pretty well.
And were you worried about lap traffic at all coming into play? I mean, being such a short racetrack, the field had separated by about 5 seconds in qualifying. Was there any worries that you'd have difficulty working your way around the slower cars, and did you have any issues?
It went pretty well, actually. I guess the guys looked at the blue flags pretty well. And there's 1 or 2 places where it's pretty easy to overtake, like I think turn 2 or 3, the tight right-handers usually. Yeah, no complaints actually.
And with just 1 race of the championship left to go, you're in prime position going in to Laguna Seca, where I'd say the MX-5s come home. You can get the championship done, can't you?
Hopefully. I'm actually kind of sad that Guillermo wasn't here today, because even if I finished behind him, I love driving Laguna Seca, so I'm quite confident going into next week.
And Koeman taking victory in the 55 car. And you only, just before we go, next week, the MX-5s go to their home track, Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. It's going to be a tough race there, especially, of course, with the famous corkscrew.
Yeah, that's one of the just like Jan. That's one of the tracks that I only love with when I get in Mazda or the Solstice. So that track is pretty fun to drive with these cars. So yeah, it's tricky. Pretty much zero room for errors, especially the corkscrew and the left-hander before that, the kink, which doesn't really allow you to go very wide because you have all the weight of the car on the right side and the corner just escapes from you. So if you touch the grass on the sand on the outside, it goes sideways. Sorry for saying that. There's no grass in Laguna Seca, but yeah, that's gonna be a pretty good ending to the so far great season.
So we'll be back same time, same place next week for the final round of the Blondie's MX5 World Tour, brought to you by Blondie's Bar in Long Beach, California. Don't forget, iRacing Super Saturday on Glacier TV continues with the second half of the Proto Ice $1,000 Cup. Kick it off from Road Atlanta. 2 30-minute heat races come from there. In the meantime, for myself, Will Vincent, from Yeni Backman and Riku Ala Taulo. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.